I had someone understand earlier, and they're like,
all right. Hello, everybody.
yeah, we're gonna
Hello.
go.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for finding us and battling through the. All right. Thanks for finding your way through that construction mess out front. I came in this morning to find that. Couldn't think of an appropriate way to convey all of that information about where to go and how to find your way in, but everybody got in without too much of a hit. So, we are going live to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, so if you ever find yourself unable to make it out here, you can also watch the videos live, and you can interact with us by tweeting at SEO Meetup if you want to ask questions during the event. The schedule starts from 5 till 6:30 with networking. At 6:30, we kick things off for the presentation. At 8, everybody heads out of here. And then if you would like to, you're welcome to join us. There's usually a small group that goes to Rookies, which is just down the street. Have a beer, socialize, exchange business cards, fun stuff like that. So before I get too far into announcements, let me make sure that we thank everybody that is providing the space, the food that we're eating, all that fun stuff. We have a list of sponsors here that help make that possible. Ecom Integrate, DeepCrawl, Rank Ranger, Look to the Right, D-Digital, Reunion Marketing, and Opsis. So the best way that you can really help me out with making sure that we can keep the pizza flowing and these events happening is to snap a picture at some point during the evening and mention one or more of these companies on Twitter, thanking them. They notice those things, and then when I go and ask them to renew their sponsorship, they see that there's been some conversation being had and that they're being recognized. See how that works? Tweets equals pizza. So, let me get back to my announcements here that just locked me out. Sponsors. Member directory. I still don't have anywhere near the number of people that are in our group on the member directory. I announced this a few months ago, so I want to remind everybody. What I'm trying to do is have a list that tells me what each of you do related to marketing, so that way I can send over referrals, and what each of you are interested in speaking about, so that way I can invite you to come up and give presentations if you're so inclined. And so there's a bit.ly set up for that. So that's bit.ly/2019, all in numbers, 2019. Capital SEO, lowercase meetup. That's bit.ly/2019 SEO meetup. And that will redirect you to a form that will allow me to collect that contact info for sending referrals and building that directory to know who else might be interested in speaking. Everybody already has their Internet Summit tickets, right? Because it's right around the corner in November. Yeah. If you don't, Raw SEO will save you $50 off of your ticket. That's the discount code. Has anybody seen my posts about our mystery speaker that's coming up for November? Did everybody already get their RSVP in for that event? Because I'm about to announce that speaker, and that's going to fill up pretty quick. We're going to have Rand Fishkin doing an open Q&A. So if you have any questions that you might like to ask Rand, write them down, bring them out. Make sure you get on that RSVP list because we do have a pretty hard limit of 150 people at the venue. And last year we had 200 people attend, or not last year, a few years ago when we had Rand out, we had 200 people attend that event. So if you haven't RSVP'd, this is your last early warning to get on that list before I start marketing that event and telling all the other marketers in the area about it. Without further ado, we are going to chat about email marketing. And I am going to butcher her name, but I think it's Newt. Did I get it right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Woo! Newt, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming. I know this is maybe a little departure from not everything that we talk about in this meetup, but today I'm going to cover like 10 ways your email marketing is probably not working very well. I was trying to be clever, so I gave it to like failure to launch kind of title, which is dumb. but whatever. So a little bit about me. I love cats. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing a cat. I have 3 cat tattoos. I have 5 cats in my house right now. I love cats. Any gifts? I have 10 years in marketing, 7 years in email marketing. I'm interested in MarTech, which is marketing technology, email, UX, user experience, design, content, process improvements, just email marketing as a whole. I geek out about it, like, really hard. Right now, I work at GitLab. I'm a marketing program manager, and that's just a fancy way of saying that I need to get emails out to people. And I have experience at startups, and Red Hat, and agencies, and I also have my own micro agency. I call it micro because it's tiny. I'm Digital. And just heads up, you don't have to furiously take notes because there is a recording, and also I have my slides online, so you can check those out. It's 9minutesdigital.com/SEO meetup 19. And my contact info, follow me on Twitter, friend me on LinkedIn, email me, we can be friends. Okay, so, love this gift. Today we're gonna talk about like some serious email related topics. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, might be a little bit rude. But we're gonna talk about what's wrong with email marketing, how to fix it, and hopefully cover why it's important. I'm kind of in the group of like no nonsense marketing. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything or you know, make it sound like fluffy and happy or whatever. It's also a lot of content, and because of that, sometimes you probably want to go a little deeper into a topic and maybe we can't cover it in the time, or maybe we can. We'll figure that out. But I'm always available to answer questions. Okay, so let's get started. I think that very few companies do email marketing right. Very, very few. I would say probably less than 1%. So when I was thinking about why email marketing was just so bad, I think there's a lot of reasons why that could be. It's fairly inexpensive, unlike maybe running a paid media campaign. You know, you don't have to have a whole lot of budget. It's fairly easy to get started. Just, you know, sign up for MailChimp, start doing the things. It's, you know, fairly low risk. You probably don't need a whole, like I said, not a lot of budget to get started. So when you're pitching it to your boss, you know, they're like, yeah, do the email people. And everyone thinks they can do it. That's kind of the joke. Email marketers are like, oh, everyone thinks they can do my job. It tends to be very successful though, and it's the cornerstone of a lot of like multi-channel campaigns, you'll notice. Even though I technically manage a program or a campaign, I do like 90% email because it is the cornerstone of what I do. But my opinion is that the email inbox is a very intimate space. Think about your own inboxes. You don't want people just to be like, hey, what you doing? My stuff all the time. It's really irritating. And email marketing is kind of like a relationship in a way. And unfortunately, the relationship is not working. Nope. So, I will go through approximately 10 things that we do. And I'm gonna add myself to this group because I am but human and I make mistakes too, and sometimes I send emails that are awful. And we're gonna go through these 10 things. I'll just read them really out loud really quick. We design email for ourselves and not really for our subscribers or customers, prospects. We add images that just don't make any sense. They don't add to the story. We either forget calls to action, the calls to action are not clear. Oftentimes the content is just not relevant. And this happens all the time, including with my own company emails. The copy is rushed, and you can tell. And we send emails really when we shouldn't. Sometimes we don't send emails when we should, but it's more often we're sending emails when we should just press pause. We don't listen to our subscribers. We don't, I hear the term digital body language, I really don't like that term, but we don't listen to the digital signals from our subscribers if they're not interested. We think that value and clarity is secondary to revenue. We are stuck on personalization 101, have not graduated from that, and we're not segmenting. All right, that's a lot, sorry. So I'm gonna start with what does designing for ourselves look like, and images don't add to the design, and I'm trying to kind of group the topics together and cover them together. Some of them do make sense, kind of as a group. All right, so what does that mean? You're designing an email. You know, you're thinking of something that's quick, that's easy, you can get it out the door. It's on brand if you have brand guidelines. As a marketer, you're like, yeah, this looks really cool. But does that look really cool? I mean, all the examples I'm using in this presentation, by the way, are real examples, mostly from my inbox. So in this example, this is, you know, the hero image of an email. It's distracting. There's not enough contrast. Somebody with, even myself, who does not have vision problems, that is really hard to read. This is a stock photo. Does it even really add anything to it? I mean, what is it even, like an iPad or something? Here's another one. There's just not enough contrast. Once again, the stock photo is of somebody's really fancy backyard and there's a fire. In this example, they didn't link the image and it was very blurry. And I said it was like irrelevant because this is an event they're inviting me to, and the image is of somebody's backyard. Wow. Okay. So this is a lot. I'm sorry. So just some best practices for when you're gonna do images in email. And this is a screenshot. Unfortunately, it was an actual animated GIF that did the loading thing that was really funny. I thought it was funny. But right now it's just a still image. So when you're adding images to email, you want to avoid large files and long load times. Don't only think of, you know, users that maybe can't, don't have Wi-Fi at home. They're on a data plan and they're using that data plan to load your giant image, and that's annoying. But for me, one example is, you know, I was on the bus. I was on, you know, Go Triangle bus, and their Wi-Fi was just running really slow. Bless you. And so, bless you. I saw all my images. I have to, because I have it. I would see all my images turned off basically because they wouldn't load in an email, and the email would be blank. So just keep that in mind. So we usually recommend file sizes to be 1 megabyte or less, and 2 times the image width. So bear with me for a second. What this means is if your email, let's say your email is 600 pixels wide, and your image is also about 600 pixels wide, but you want your image to show up nice and crisp, especially for a retina display, your image needs to be 1200 pixels wide. It needs to be 2 times the width. That is really important. If you've ever pulled up an email on your Mac or on your nice new iPhone, or even not so new iPhone, and the image is blurry, it's because they're not using a 2x is what we call it. If you're using background images, if you have to use a background image, make sure that the contrast is really good. I mean, make sure your background image is either really light and the text is really dark, or the opposite. For example, this right here. You can't go any more contrast than black and white. Make sure that if you are using an image and you can put HTML over the image, this is getting a little technical. If you have a developer or if you want to talk about it later, happy to discuss. But it's better for accessibility and for images turned off to have that be coded on top of the image instead of be part of the image that you sliced in Photoshop. And then the last one here, link images when you can. Has anyone seen Gmail? You get an email and there's a little arrow button in the bottom left right-hand corner. That's an image that's larger than 200 by 200 pixels. That's not linked. Gmail will do that. So you want to link your images, both for user experience and also just to that little down. That's not helpful. So thanks, Gmail. All right. So this is a real email that I got, being the cat lady that I am. That was literally one giant image. This whole thing is one image that someone sliced up and just pasted in an email and hits it. It just can't do it. Can't do it. Can you imagine what it looks like on mobile? I mean, it's completely not legible. So just remember, a lot of your subscribers don't have images turned on by default. depending on your subscriber base, you're looking at up to 30% or more. I most recently come from a B2B space, so a lot of my subscribers do not have images turned on by default. They're thinking all of Outlook, some Gmail users even, some people that just, like me, my Yahoo account on hold, I have images turned off by default, and then some people have it on, like their IT turns it off at the company level. So you want to focus on creating an image that makes sense even without any images. So not this. Don't ever do this. I'll find you. And then make sure you're including descriptive alt text of the image for people that cannot see the image and need a screen reader. As well as if for some reason your image doesn't load, you can see like, you know, image of cat or whatever. So here are some examples I pulled. I think all of them are from reallygoodemails.com, which is a really cool website where you can get inspiration. But I thought that these 3 brands did imagery really well in their emails. And imagery does not necessarily mean photography. The one on the right is a Trello email, and Trello's whole brand experience includes really cool illustrations. So they have these really cool like vector graphic things, and each one here in the email, it goes with whatever they're trying to tell you, like 7 tricks, Trello, I don't know. So it's cool. The one in the middle is Uber. What I really liked about that one is the image really emphasizes the copy, our commitment to safety, and they're even like looking down, almost like, yes, the copy's down here, which is, I don't know if they meant to do that, but it's kind of brilliant. I also like how, even though it was a almost full width background image, it's kind of all the way up at the top so that their logo's overlaid, which it just takes up less space that way, just because you don't need an image that takes up, 90% of the viewport. And the one on the left, home away, you're beaching on a budget, so everything is very like beachy and lifestyle, and it goes along with the message. It doesn't feel forced, and just the stock photos, like, just know. There are going to be very few examples and instances where I will say, sure, use a stock photo. Just sometimes you don't even need an image. I mean, a lot of times you don't put an image in your email. So right now we're going to cover calls to action. Your calls to action aren't clear, your content isn't relevant, or copy is rushed. What does that look like? Let me start with subject line. I will tell you, I think I struggle with subject lines more than anything else when I'm writing. And I do write copy sometimes because our copywriters are just overworked. So subject lines are tough. I would recommend maybe write your subject line last. Kind of like if, in school when you would write a paper and you would give it a title at the very end. So with subject lines, there are a few different methods. I'm not going to cover them today because I could pretty much give a whole presentation just on subject lines, but you want to focus on really justifying the send. Ask yourself, why would I open this email? There are a few ways to do it. You could be intriguing, you could use humor or mystery, or you could just be really specific. Just emphasize what the person is going to get out of opening the email. Keep it short. We like to say keep it short. That honestly is just a personal preference of mine, but it's really going to depend on your subscribers. So you want to make sure you test and see what works with your subscribers. I've done a lot of reading, and studies suggest like there's a sweet spot. But like I said, it really is just highly dependent on your subscribers. Some subscriber bases they want everything in there. But I would recommend front loading, which is to put the most valuable information first, because depending on the type of email client your email is open in, it can be truncated quite a bit. I already said be specific, and then don't forget to test. Just test it. Most ESP, email service providers, that is a software that sends out an email. Most of them do allow you to test, do an A/B test, and subject line such an easy A/B test. Just play around with it, emojis, stuff like that. Okay. So these are 2 subject lines I got in my inbox. What? That's how I felt when I was reading them. Okay, I'm gonna read the first one. email marketing daily, bimmy boom. CNN has issued the first validation certificate. What? Just get to the point. Like, CNN has issued the first BIMI validation certificate. I know what BIMI means, but for those of you that don't know, this isn't going to make any sense. Doesn't really matter. Just it's a terrible subject line. And then the second one from Christopher Kimball. And you'll notice also that the from was truncated, so just keep that in mind. And this is my desktop inbox too. So in mobile, that's going to get truncated even more probably. But that subject line reads: extended offer, last chance, pre-order, Milk Street, the new rules. What? I'm getting a free gift, and you're putting that all the way to the end, and you're putting extended offer, last chance, pre-order at the beginning. I don't care. I don't care. Whether it's an extended offer, like, no, free gift, order now, you know. All right, so here are two that I really like. The first one's from Netflix. I love Netflix. New, we just added a TV show you might like. And I'm like, really? Tell me more. What TV show did you add? And then Bed Bath & Beyond. This one's probably like 2.5 years old, but I really like it, so I use this example again. Save up to $100 and never vacuum again. That's a very attractive subject line, because I hate vacuuming. So I don't know how they do that. But so you can kind of play around with it, but don't do this. That is no. Okay. So just my little like soapbox spiel on subject lines. They don't just affect your open rates. They affect other metrics down the funnel, all the way to conversion. So please take them seriously. They can damage performance of future campaigns. And if you are trying to get that click and you're trying to make a lifelong customer or a lifelong person that's engaged with you in your brand, you really don't want to upset them. So, real quick, I'm going to cover pre-header preview text. That is the text that you see in the inbox. It's kind of like a preview of the copy in the email. Looks kind of like that. It's a little lighter gray than the subject line, which is considered a new ESV. So the nice thing about pre-header text is if you feel like you don't have enough space to play around with your subject line, you have a little extra. You can kind of use it in conjunction, like a secondary subject line in a way. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of brands either leave it blank, so the preview will the email client will automatically pull, like, can't see this email, view online. How many people have seen emails that are like, view online, or some code, or some gibberish, or something, or the image URL? Don't do that. It just looks lazy and dumb. Just don't do it. You have, 4 words would be better than none. Or you can, and I said please don't leave this blank, let me just clarify. You can actually put in code that will create a blank space for your pre-header, but it will keep your client from pulling in that view online text that's really annoying. So you can put that code if you want. We can talk about that later because it's a little more advanced in this presentation. But don't take this for granted. You can show up to 90 characters depending on the email client. That's a lot. There's a lot of area to play with. Okay, so call to action. I love this gift. It's one of my favorites. So in an email, 80% of the time, these are my numbers, so I totally made them up. But I think about 80% of the time, your whole goal of an email is to get someone to click to your website. And maybe about 20% of the time, your goal is to inform. So maybe it's like a transactional email, hey, your order shipped. That would be kind of that. But as marketers, most of the emails we work on are, I'm trying to get somebody to click on my email, to go on my website to do a thing. So I'm gonna be really harsh on Costco today because I love Costco, but I hate their emails, and there's a reason why you can't really see this email. I will reference it, I think, 2 more times in the presentation, and I zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. But basically, it's a very, very long email with a bunch of products, none of which I have ever showed interest in. And I have a membership with Costco. They know what I buy. They have that data. But they choose to send me an email with like jacuzzis, hot tubs. No, I don't jacuzzi. Where am I supposed to click? I'm overwhelmed. Too much. Also, I like to pick on serious decisions. Does anyone do B2B marketing that's familiar with them? They have really good content, but their emails are awful. I like, what is this green color? Like, no. And also, where are the buttons? What?
Have you called to tell them that their emails are awful?
No, I feel bad. So I just talk about them behind their back.
Email their CEO and tell them.
Well, if you know somebody over there, please, just like, I could redo their template for them.
Email their CEO and tell them. He loves getting emails.
Oh, I'm sure. So yeah, no, that, you know what, it's not awful, it's accessible at the very least, but I've had a problem with these serious decision emails for years and they just haven't updated them. So I need to email the CEO.
Okay, so let me ask you that.
Yeah.
So that email that you just showed, it's kind of a common email I've seen for a lot of people, even amateurs that are doing the webinars.
Mhm.
And they resort to that because they've used, let's say, stock stuff that just doesn't work, it looks hokey, or they've done webinars for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And their base knows that it's coming from them, but they just want to see what the upcoming webinars are. So what would you suggest on something like that? I mean, I've updated some amateur ones that started with that, and then we put maybe a picture of their the presenter to give a little variation, or
Yeah.
a logo on a company, give a little variation. But to me, that's also very upfront about. So what would you
Yeah.
change to for a regular email advertising webinars?
I don't disagree with you. I think honestly, like it's really not that bad, dude. Calm down. But I will go into a little bit more detail regarding content hierarchy, which is exactly what I would employ here,
Mhm.
as well as better calls to action. Those are two tactics that I would employ here that they're just not using at all.
Okay.
If you, well, I don't want to ruin the fun. Okay.
Okay.
We will talk about it in a second. I'm such a nerd. Okay, so email CTA. When you hear CTA, when I say CTA, sorry, sometimes I forget. Not everybody knows what that means. It's a word that we use so much in marketing. It means call to action. Most of the time in email, most of the time, not all, it's a button. So you want to keep your buttons or links to a minimum. That lovely Costco email probably has, I don't know, 50 different calls to action, because it's like, you know, jacuzzis and then Dyson, and you know, just there's a lot going on. You want to make it big enough to click. I believe it's Apple that says 44 by 44 pixels per mobile. That is one issue I had with this guy right here. Is this is really tiny, and this is not fun on a phone. This whole email looks terrible on the phone. I should have screenshotted it. It's very small. It just doesn't, no. Make it very clear. Make it a button. Make it a button. I know this, I said duh because I'm trying to be cheeky, but the truth is a lot of marketers use text links, which you should, just in case you want to have both. But I've done so many tests, B2B, B2C, small companies, large companies. People click on buttons more than they click on texts, period. If you want to argue with me, show me the data. And I think I have a theory as to why that happens, and I will go through that in a second. Please don't click here. First of all, most of us are on our phones, so click doesn't really apply anymore. Also, press here sounds really weird. And it's like, yes, I know, honey, just be more creative. Primary calls to action should stand out and not compete. So one of the problems I had with the Costco email is the jacuzzis was competing with the backyard furniture, was competing with the dice. Like, there's just so much going on. Don't cluster non-identical links. So what that means is, if you've ever gotten an email with a bunch of text that's linked, like for example, a bulleted list, and they're all linked, and you're on your phone, and you're like, and then you like fat finger it and click on the wrong thing. Don't do that, it's annoying. Not everybody has the dexterity to like to be able to click that one link. We take a lot of people for granted when we create something like that. It's a terrible user experience, it's just annoying and looks dumb. My opinion, especially with demand generation emails, is focus on one call to action. You know, I might be wrong. Maybe that Costco email doesn't amazingly well. It probably does, but
It's a spray and pray.
it's a spray and pray. It's a spray and pray, which I don't like. But
Somebody's gonna like one of those things.
Someone probably loves it. But you know, I know, like, okay, I'll be honest. I don't know anybody at the Costco marketing department. I know a lot of people that do the target marketing, the target emails. They are constantly testing, they're using AI, personalization. Like, they do a lot of work to make sure that emails you get, if anybody here gets target emails, they're really good. They're really good. And then you get the Costco email and you're like, but why? You have my data. I've been a member for 10 years.
We sell that, we don't use it.
So I was like, use it. Gosh. Okay, so I love Netflix. I get this email from Netflix, and I just want to point out the call to action. Play. That's the main call to action. And yes, the image is clickable. And then the secondary call to action is add to my list. So I just really like that. Super simple. It's very obvious that that's the call to action. There's no question about it. I like the color schemes, etc. But not everyone can make beautiful Netflix emails. So I know this is hard, and especially because writing an email is really difficult. Writing any marketing copy is really difficult, but writing an email is even harder, I feel like. But when you're doing it, if you're doing it, when you're doing it, ask yourself, is there a single word or piece of content in this email that does not help to achieve my goal of a click? If there is something that you identify as not being absolutely integral to getting a click, get rid of it. Get rid of it. An email is not a landing page. It is not a landing page. It's never been a landing page, but I'm so tired of seeing emails that are like, I will show you an example. You're gonna die. Okay, ready? This is me literally scrolling. This is an email. This is an email I have in my inbox right now. Wait, we're not done. Keep watching.
Did they think you needed a financial report?
I-
Their last like 3 quarters?
Why would I, first of all, why would I read this? Second of all, an email is not a landing page, like I said. And then, what really got me, is when I clicked, when I went to go read more, because I was just curious at this point, the landing page had the exact same content as the email. No, don't do it. In this case, they did have the same content on their website, but if you don't have the same content on your website, you're missing on putting all that great content on your website. And you're discouraging your pages from getting traffic, which is the SEO thing. We like that, because we're here today. So don't do this, because you want people to click, you want to get that traffic on your page, and you want the content on your website. That's the whole point.
So,
An email is not a landing page. I will say it again. So email copy, I literally have a presentation that just covers email copy, and I stole bits and pieces for this presentation. And I'm sorry, I feel like we could go into so much more detail, but just when you're writing email copy, you want to minimize cognitive load, and I will get into what that means in a second. You want to employ a messaging and design hierarchy, and you want to make every word count. What is cognitive load, you ask? What does that mean? So, like computers, human brains have limited processing power. When the amount of information that we are trying to put in our brains exceeds our ability to handle it, our performance suffers. It's just like a computer. And it's a real thing. So when that happens, when our performance suffers, when we're overloaded cognitively, we take a lot longer to understand things, we miss important details, we get overwhelmed, and we abandon the task. So we bounce. And this is one of my favorite quotes of all time, but it's like especially pertinent for marketing. When you emphasize everything, you emphasize nothing. Don't emphasize everything. Okay, that's great, but like, what am I supposed to do, right? That's what you're asking. So, to minimize cognitive load, use your copy wisely, but what I always recommend, use your content hierarchy. So, I love this Asana email. I get their emails and I'm just a really big fan. They're all very clean, there's not a lot of copy. And what they do is their headlines are always the biggest thing that you see. There's usually an image or an illustration that goes along with the messaging. There's maybe 2 or 3 sentences in the body and a call to action. So I want, yes, oops, sorry. I want everyone to do something with me. We're gonna do something called the squint test. I thought I made it up, but I don't think I actually did. I love Brad. So go ahead and squint and take a look at that email. All right, so what pops out at you first?
Logo and the headline.
Okay, what else?
The purple button at the bottom.
Okay, so we're seeing the logo, the headline, the purple button, maybe some blurry image or
Keep
something.
away from purple button.
This is what people are gonna see. This is what people see when they see your emails. Most people skim emails. They spend 7 to 11 seconds on your email. Is that enough time to read, 500 words, 1,000 words, whatever? It's not. It's barely enough time to read 50 words. So when I say use your copy wisely, I mean it, and use a content hierarchy. Because the serious decisions email did not use a content hierarchy and fails the squint test. It fails the call to action test, Newt's call to action test, and it fails our squint test because when you squint, it's all one blur. You can't scan it, it's not easily scannable. And that's really the main problem I have. I get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. I just want to open it. What do you have to say? Next one. And when you have copy that's all the same weight, all the same size, same color, maybe a little, a few calls to action that are really small, but they're like a very light green, I can't scan that. It's really annoying. So reduce options. You want to limit that cognitive load. You want to keep only what's necessary to get a click, because that's our job, is to get that click. We're not trying to create a landing page. And you want to talk like a human. People buy from people. They don't buy from emails. I mean, they do buy from emails, but they're buying from people. And then if you can tell a story, I know it's a little bit harder to do. And not every email is really, you're going to want to tell a story in, but I'm going to show some examples that I really like. So all 3 of these emails, I can do a really good job with content and design hierarchy and telling a story. So let's do the squint test again. I see a really big burger. But what else do we see? We see
on the burger one, I like the peanut butter with the arrow thing sticking out.
Yeah.
I actually noticed that first.
Yeah, and that's because it's not linear. It's like diagonal, and so it's like throwing off the balance in like a good way. But we also see headlines. We see the call to action. Maybe like an image that draws my interest a little bit. But if I'm scanning, honestly, I'm probably not reading the copy. But I love the Postmates emails, the one on the burger one with the peanut butter, because they're creative with the copy, but then they really work on that contrast, the content hierarchy. I mean, they're really pushing the boundaries with that, and I appreciate that. I don't like the fact that the say what is actually an image, but we can talk about that later.
Can you go back a moment?
Yeah.
So I happen to be working on a project right now for a fairly large client, and we're testing the analytics on pictures that they post when they're doing Facebook and LinkedIn posts versus what the content is. I'm going to give you a short example. A very large company yesterday purchased a large logistics company in South America. You'll all read about it in tomorrow's journal. The picture on LinkedIn announcing it today had a picture of a Toyota in a New York garage with a bicycle sitting up next to it. And we knew it was a New York garage because it was a New York license plate announcing this. I.e., the picture had nothing to do with the content. I can't tell you what the open rate was at this point, but I'm guessing it was super low because it was extremely poorly done. Having said that, I look at the middle picture. Every time you see the word commitment in anything, whether it be an email or a post, there's always a picture of a family. Would someone get people to stop that? I have no idea what that family has to do with the word commitment.
It's safety.
Safety, yeah.
Safety.
I I didn't take it that way. I took safety, I guess. Like when it's
And
an
safety of people
emotion.
in a
It's actually an
car? Are they all
emotional.
wearing seatbelts?
Yeah, but public
I'm just
seats.
checking, I can't actually.
It's
I'm
emotional
visually
marketing.
impaired, so I
It's
can't actually see
it
that.
gets you thinking of your children. Don't you want your children to be safe? Uber is committed to safety. We're thinking of your children. It's that sort of thing, which I don't love.
Every time I hear the words Uber committed to safety and they still don't do background checks, I chuckle, but okay.
Drivers are screened beforehand. I'm actually not a fan of Uber, the company. I think their emails are done really well. And I can't really speak to that very specific use case.
No, I'm not saying, it's an example. that
Yeah, I think
people
but I think
choosing
it's
pictures
interesting.
with they don't always have a connection.
I don't like that. Personally, I think you're wasting my time when you're showing me a picture, like, for example, this is about Squarespace, let's say, I don't know, it's a picture of a building or something that has nothing to do with Squarespace. I'd just be annoyed, like, why? Are you stupid or something? Like, so, but that's something that you would test with your subscribers, because maybe your subscribers are really into the pictures of a Toyota in your garage. So, who knows? I really like this burger. But maybe a vegan would really hate it. Yeah. Think about that. Yeah, it could be a veggie burger, but it has bacon. Could be veggie bacon, well, that cheese could be veggie cheese.
It's all plant-based.
So it's all plant-based.
Ethically farmed.
So this is like one of my favorite quotes from David Ogilvy. On average, 5 times as many people read the headlines as read the body copy. When I write emails, every single time I use headlines that are bigger. When I say a headline, physically it is larger, and it's your point. You need to make it in your headline. So unless your headline tells your product, you've wasted 90% of your money. And for those of you that don't know, Ogilvy, very famous advertising dude. Okay, so let's talk about content hierarchy. I kind of alluded to it a little bit. We talked about it a little bit, but like I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail. Number one, and think about this as, does anybody remember like the sandwich or hamburger method in like of writing a paper at school? I think of this kind of as a similar thing when you're writing an email. Your headline should be the largest text. Don't be afraid to go bold. Make sure that it's good text, that it's relevant to what you're trying to achieve. Make it interesting. Don't make the headline be, I don't know, I can't think of anything. Just don't do that. Subheadlines are a good idea too. So obviously it's a subheadline. It wants to be a little bit smaller than the headline. And then you have your body copy. You want to break it into chunks. I recommend paragraphs be no longer than 4 lines. If they're longer than 3 lines, they have to be left aligned. It's a usability thing. Do not center align paragraphs longer than 3 lines. Don't do it. Use bulleted lists. Use white space. Let it breathe. And then end it with a call to action. Please. So here's some examples that I really like of headlines that are really bold and will get your attention. And I know this is not the whole email, but if you do the squint test, the headline really is, it's there. Like, you're not missing it. And then delivering tacos, like, you're like, oh yeah, tacos, definitely. Obviously, this is a Postmates email. And then on the right, it's actually a DeCM email, which is a makeup company. But I just really appreciated how bold the headline was.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you're, for number 1, well, the number 1 on my left, the tacos one, how do you feel about the free delivery being like a linked call to action as opposed to having a button there? Would you, or does it matter in this particular
I
case?
think that this had a button, but I just, when I did my screenshot, I accidentally cropped it. So I think it had a text and a button.
Gotcha.
But I'm gonna be honest and say that I think for just like looking at Postmates stuff, I feel like they probably did some serious testing. And if they had only a link, then it might just be that that worked. Either just as well, or it's a lot easier to code just a link. So it might just be like, if they ran A/B tests and it was flat, they just decided to go for a link because it's just a lot easier. Get out the door a lot faster. Just some theories. But I think there actually wasn't. My bad. Yes.
So on the second number 1, this is not a joke. It doesn't actually tell me what it's about, and so
Yes.
I don't immediately know what's going on. Is that something that they are relying on me as a subscriber understanding what their
Yeah.
the email's about?
That's a really, really good question. Thank you for asking it. So there are a few different methods you can employ when you're writing copy. In this example, it went on to give you a little bit more information down in the email, and I'm sorry, I should have just had the whole email in there, but I wanted to focus more on the headline. It's coming from this company. You already are familiar with this company. The subject line is like, I think it was some sort of limited edition birthday set of makeup or some sort of skincare. And they just wanted to like grab your attention and they wanted to get you to click. And that's, they were employing kind of like, I don't know if it's humor or, I mean, it's not really timeliness. It's not like, there's only 10 left, you know. So in terms of specificity and being extremely clear, I would say you're right. It's not very, I don't know what's happening here, but in terms of like when you look at the context of this, it probably is not that confusing. Okay. Very good question. So value and clarity is secondary to revenue, and this one I kind of struggled with on how to like how best to word it. Haha, funny. Because I'm talking about words. But what I was trying to say was, I think in this day and age, email's been around for over 20 years now, way over 20 years. Marketing has been around for many, many years. We're just bombarded all the time. That it's very obvious when a brand is just emailing me because they want my money and they're not bringing me any value. Costco! Spray and pray. Spray and pray. Man, like, I have not one time in the 10 years I've had a Costco membership bought any backyard furniture thing. So I kind of zoomed in a little bit so you could see it was like everything you could ever, like everything. Just Dyson vacuums, like.
This is this week, I got the same email.
Yeah, I got it, it made me mad. I'm gonna screenshot this.
They still do the 6-month supply of like bunker food.
I think they do, yeah. Did you get that email? And you were like, what about me makes you think I'm a survivalist? This does not survive, this dies.
Well, I'm just checking it's just me.
With Costco, I would assume they do testing and have a big department, but my problem with a lot of the emails is that the email itself is a proof of concept that the project is done, and it's done for not analytics, it's done to show somebody that we did it. It's like having the hero image on a web page.
Yes.
So so that's why they include person's picture, could be CEO, a full story, a lot of stuff. The email runs very long. So does Costco actually do testing, do you know?
I mean, I don't know.
Because this looks like a circular you get in your newspaper.
It is.
Exactly.
I got the exact same, like every one of them, the same
See,
thing I got.
2 different people, we probably buy different things and we're getting the same exact email. Like, that's a problem in this day and age. It wasn't a problem 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Oh, so cool, you put like the whole newsletter in there. Or like circular thing.
The length of the email is not the problem, it's the product recommendation.
It's the strategy is the problem here. The strategy is someone thinks that this is okay and it keeps doing whatever it is that they say is their baseline of success. So that could be I got 10 people, who knows? Or it could be I got 5 clicks, that's success, check.
A little known, well maybe not so little known fact, use it trivia someday, is actually that Costco's magazine is the most circulated magazine in the United States.
Love that magazine, read that magazine.
But it's probably made by the same people who are on the same
Yeah.
team doing this email, so I'm wondering if there's any cross-collaboration with the email strategy and the magazine.
I mean, it could be with like, I worked at a lot of companies I worked with started out before the internet was a thing. So they're not digital first, they're not digital natives. And to have these conversations with people, like, you should use you should use machine learning to figure out what somebody is searching, what their previous purchase patterns are, who they are, their demographic information, and show them stuff that they actually want to buy instead of this.
But as a user, sir, why do you have such a different reaction to seeing something, the same magazine that he got in print and loving it versus seeing the same email in your inbox and hating it?
Because I get hundreds and hundreds of emails and I only get one magazine.
And it's very easy to, we know that it's easy to personalize email.
Yeah.
I think like with a magazine, you're more willing to browse.
Okay.
You can browse it on your time.
Yeah.
But right
It's
now
not
you're,
invasive.
Costco is wasting our time by
But
sending us
see, the
this.
magazine gives value and has articles. The circular, on the other hand, is really the copy of this. And you know what I do with that?
Chuck it.
Recycling
You're
bin.
right, you're right. The circular,
Yeah.
it's always stuff I'm like, I'm not gonna buy this. I'm not buying
Yeah.
a computer from you. I'm not buying a rug. Like, stop.
Right.
But the magazine, I like to read the articles. Someone else says that.
Can you buy from their website?
You can buy from their
Oh, yeah.
website. I believe you have to be a
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you absolutely, but I mean, you probably Google this, but I think it's like a known fact that Costco.com is like lagging behind. And this example right here is just very obvious to me why. Like clearly you don't value this day and age, like modern times, digital first people, I don't know. But this just annoyed me.
It looks like they're using one strategy across the board.
Yes.
That happens in real time opposed to when you're saying an electronic world. So I think they have one strategy and they'll paste it on every single thing we do.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think all of us kind of covered it, is like, they're not really segmenting, the problem is their strategy, they're not personalizing.
It's an awareness campaign, and
Yes.
you do it once, it's, you know,
Yes.
they don't have to pay for the analytics to segment it to their audience,
Yeah.
but it's something that's memorable
And I
it's
take
in
a-
your inbox.
Some of an offense at email being an awareness campaign.
Yes.
I would actually say that this works for Costco. And the reason why I say that is Costco appeals to a specific type of person. So I think of the people who do and don't like Costco, right? Costco, all of their strategy is push. They have samples, so that's a push strategy, right? They're pushing something at you for you to want it, right? And so this, they're pushing something at you again. And the reason why they've had success is that they've had that role where they're the ones who are saying, here's the stuff involved, here's the stuff that you want, here's the low price. And that's all they do. They don't actually have any strategy beyond that, right?
Yeah.
And so this strategy works for Costco because it appeals to that core group, maybe.
But remember,
And
dinosaurs
nothing
died
about
out.
Costco.
Dinosaurs
Yeah.
died out. You've got to
Nothing about
change it.
Costco is personalized.
I think you're right, I
So,
think it works for Costco.
Not to say they're gonna last a long time as a result of that.
Here's
but-
my problem though, in this day and age, if you're not always pushing and looking at what other people are doing and learning about the new technology that's happening in email and for email, if anyone's heard of it, and all this new stuff, like, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I will tell you, my code is obsolete in like 6 months. So this might work for them, but I don't know how much longer it's gonna work.
I say
I'm
work in a
actually
loose
gonna-
sense.
And it could be better. we'll get into that.
Well, it works in that
I'm
it
gonna
achieves their
actually-
business goals,
I'm
whether
gonna
their
tell
business
you-
goals are correct or not.
It's brand consistency.
So,
I'll tell you that it's still a segment of the group that they're targeting that it works for. They can still segment other areas. So it
Yeah.
only works for, you know, a certain amount of them, and they have a lot of competition
I
now.
mean, there's some
So
philosophical conversations we're having right now. Really deep stuff. The stuff that keeps me up at night. So, this actually happened to me the other day. I do check my spam box, but do not assume other people are checking their spam folders. Do not assume, people do not, I'm just weird, and I wanna know what Gmail is putting in my spam. So, I check my spam folder and I get this email from Andrea Foreman, and I'm like, who's this? What's going on? And then I search Andrea Foreman in my Gmail, and that is the only email that she's ever sent me. And I'm pretty sure I signed up because it's like really pretty jewelry and I love jewelry, so I don't think it's spam in the traditional sense of someone just scraping your email address from somebody or like buying a list. I think I did sign up for this. I did not get a confirmation, thank you for signing up for our newsletter or emails. I did not get anything. I just got this random email one day, and then it landed in spam. So, don't do this. Don't do this. Someone woke up one day at Andrea Foreman and was like, we shall send an email to our entire list. And they thought this was a good idea. So, they sent the email and it went to spam probably for most of the people list. And if they had just emailed some more. Anyway, off of that topic, back to kind of the topic of bringing value to your emails. I really, I have to bring cats in this. I just really like Modcat's emails. They're always, they always have like article content and blogs. They're not always trying to sell. They make litter boxes, by the way, like really cool litter boxes. And I also like how they're using content hierarchy, and they know their audience. Obviously, it has to have a cute cat in it. And then Aslo, I'm an account member with Aslo. They're a bank that's specifically set up for freelancers. I really like their emails. Right away, I get an email after they sent me my card. Activate your card. This is very helpful. This shows value.
So you convinced me to use buttons in my next email. Do you have any resources that show what the best colors to use and best buttons, or at least what the ones are now, at least a couple studies?
That is a really, really good question. There's a link that I can show you that is probably the most in-depth study of button colors anyone's ever done, and I know the people that did it, and they're crazy in a good way. But I think the answer to that is it's gonna be start with best practice and kind of adjust it until you figure out what works for your audience. So I would start with something that's high contrast. Do you have brand colors? For example, if your brand colors are red and what's a cool color, like white, don't do a white button, you know? Maybe do a red button, I think in the study, if I remember correctly, I think blue is a very popular color. Maybe green, not yellow and brown. Those were like the least popular.
So you're finding not many white buttons, even with an outline of the white button in the dark text?
Yeah, I don't remember if I talked a little bit more about this. I've done a lot of A/B tests, and ghost buttons just don't perform well as primary calls to action. When I say ghost button, it's literally a button like this, but instead of it being completely filled out with a color, it's just a color border.
It's a cool design, but
It
it's
looks
not
really
effective.
cool.
Yeah.
Designers love them. I used to get them designs all the time, and I'm like, this does not work because it does not pass the squint test. Remember the squint test? Yes.
The one in the middle looks pretty, but you would expect that if you have a card, it would be addressed by name. So for me, this looks super fishy, like fishing, screaming all over the place.
Yeah, I'm gonna cover that in a second. Good question. All right, so I kind of already sort of covered we send emails when we shouldn't, or we don't send emails when we should. For example, that Andrea, whatever her name was, brand, don't send emails when you should. Please send a confirmation of a newsletter sign up. Please do. And don't ghost people for months and then be like, ah. It is not only a really weird experience, but you will end up in Gmail spam. And something else that's bad that we do, we don't listen to our subscribers.
So, I'm sorry, you just said an email once a month, you'll end up in spam?
No, I said if someone signs up and you don't email them for 2 or 3 or 4 months, and then you email
2 or
them,
3 or 4 months.
you might end up in spam.
Okay.
Do you cover deliverability?
I don't cover deliverability. I love
obvious.
deliverability. It's a monster of a topic. I can't even scratch the surface with this presentation. I would love to come back and give a second presentation on deliverability. We can talk about that a little bit. Just maybe the basics of deliverability, because the really, really technical, nerdy stuff, I'm not.
It changes all the time, and that's.
Which changes. Yes.
When you're
So
ESP is
annoying.
also mostly annoying.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even know what's happening. Yes.
Okay, so following up on this scenario, let's say you've got a brand that waited like 4 months, 6 months, a year, whatever, to finally email people on their list.
Yeah.
But they don't want the result that's making you roll your eyes right now, so what would you recommend to them as a way to kind of reintroduce themselves, so to speak?
That's a really good question, and we argue about it a lot in the email geek space, but I think what we decided on is to email small groups of people and try and target those most engaged people first and try and like slowly like widen that net, because if you, let's say like hypothetically speaking, and of course asterisk, like this may not work for you, please consult a professional. Let's say I have a list of 100,000 people, haven't emailed them in 6 months. And I break the list into like maybe, I don't know what the right amount is. I have to like figure that out, but maybe a list of like chunks of like 5,000 or something like that. If you can chunk them by like email provider, that might actually be better because that's a little harder to do. But Gmail and G Suite are going to be different than Outlook and Oath, which is Yahoo and Verizon, are going to be different, and AOL. Like each one behaves differently. And I think Gmail likes it when you just like slowly stagger sends over like a kind of a long period and prioritize engaged contacts over disengaged. But I mean, honestly, I could talk about it for like 2 hours. So I don't know. We can talk. For this one, this really upset me, y'all. I went to Joe's Jeans website. I signed up for all sorts of emails too because I want to know what other people are doing. And I said, here's this information. I'm interested in women's. I don't shop for my husband. I don't wear men's clothes, and I don't have any children, and I don't wear children's clothes. So I'm interested in women. Subscribe. And I get this email the other day. For your mini, it's a child. The kids, it's for your little one, it's a child. I don't have a kid, and I told you I wanted women's stuff. What are you doing? Don't do this. Listen to your people. This is probably my biggest pet peeve of all time. Do not invite me to stuff where I'm like hours and hours away, like across the country. So Margot is like a fancy shoe brand. Oh, we're in Georgetown, come visit us. I don't care, I'm not in DC, and I'm not coming to see your shoes. Oh, come visit us at 1906 Northeast Alberta. I don't know where that is, I think it's somewhere in Portland. Like, what are you doing? Are you in the Bay Area? Do you want to visit us in Brooklyn? No, no, and no. Stop. Oh, why don't you come to our warehouse sale in Nashville? Great. I'm not in Nashville, and now I feel super FOMO about your warehouse sale that you emailed me about that I would have loved to attend it, but I'm not going all the way to Nashville to attend a warehouse sale. Same people. Here's a map to our warehouse sale. Great. Thank you. It's really helpful. Oh, and Nashville's like what, like 9 hours away? Oh, why don't you come to our warehouse sale in Santa Monica, California? It's so fun. I love the Santa Monica. It's so great. Okay, so.
I actually have a question about this.
Yeah.
Did you give an address to those people? I remember I tried to do a geo-targeted like email campaign. It was a nightmare.
So most of these brands don't have my addresses because I did not purchase.
Yeah.
But why don't you ask me? I'm gonna go into it a little bit more. Ask people. Before you do this, ask. Because I see these and I get really pissed off and I take a screenshot and I complain about it, and you're just on my crap list now, you know? Don't do that, ask people. You can get information other ways, but really the easiest way is just ask your subscribers. Alright, so personalization 101, and kind of these topics, they all kind of work together, so I'm sorry if there's a little overlap, but we are really stuck in personalization 101. Hi first name. It's not enough. Hi first name is not enough. Everyone does it. Everyone does it. Do you know how easy it is to do it? We did, my friends and I did, my email geek friends, did a study of our spam inboxes and found out that something like 68% of all of our spam emails had hi first name, hi new, and not just spam like stuff that Gmail decides to put in your spam because you're not dealing with the brand, but like actual like, would you like to buy some things that I cannot say out loud? Spam. Okay? So hi first name is not enough. Nobody's falling for that anymore. It was cool a while ago. It's like, oh, you know my name. That's so cool. We've kind of moved on from hi first name personalization, hi last name, hi whatever, like basically a data point in your data table that I'm spitting back out at you. That's no longer for personalization. I will show you a few small examples. Nothing is perfect, and I feel like the personalization in email is still kind of a living, breathing thing that's evolving. But the one on the left is from ThreadUp. I love ThreadUp. I don't know if anyone here uses it. Ladies, probably, because it's for women and children. They know that I like Athleta, that I buy a lot of workout clothes, and Zella, I think their sizing is a little off, because that's not my size. But they're like, your favorite brand, we have some things you can shop now. Cool, that is my favorite brand, you're right. I will shop now. And there's a cat, I like that. But that's probably just, they didn't do that for me. That is a J.Crew email. I got a J.Crew email, clicked on it, went to their website, saw this tank that I liked, then I left, and I got this email. Hey, have an extra 15% off. It's called Abandoned Browse. But what I liked, it was like, here's the thing you're looking at, and here, the email was longer, but I got lazy and just cut it off. Here are some other cool things that you might like. So this is probably some sort of recommendation engine. Excuse me.
Do you see that there is a line?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you see that there is a line? Because that's what most online shops now do. You browse and you get the immediate email, hey, we saw you looked at XYZ, would you like to shop? I mean, I don't know about other people, but I don't like this kind of being monitored.
You really have to test that with your audience. I used to work for a very large B2C retailer, and that was one of our most successful emails. It really was.
Same, we do the abandoned cart.
Yeah, we did abandoned browse and abandoned cart, and those two were just like printing money.
Yeah.
It really depends on your audience. It depends on what you're selling, what the timing is, because you don't want to bother them too early in the process. Like, yo, I'm not ready. But you don't want to wait like 5 days, like, I forgot that I was even on your website. What are you doing bothering me? So that's something that you test. And maybe make it so that people can opt out of those emails and not opt out of all of your emails. So like, I want to get your monthly newsletter, but I don't want you to send me abandoned browse, abandoned cart emails. So I'm going to call out Netflix again, because I just feel like they have all this data about me and they're using it in a really good way. I'm like, let's go. Netflix knows I like to watch shows about cars, and that I like to watch shows about food. So it's like, the fastest car. I don't know what that is. Forks over dice. And then I think it knows that I like design, because it's like, there's this thing you might like. So my Netflix emails, I think everybody's are super, super personalized. I mean, they're made just for you. That's really hard to pull off, so I don't expect everyone to do that. I mean, I really don't. Just think about what more you can do that's a little bit less generic. Maybe just start with segmentation, because I know personalization is harder to actually pull off properly, especially for B2B. Like, how do you even? We've been struggling with that for years. The email on the right is a Spotify email, and unfortunately, it was going to my Yahoo, which I hadn't checked in a really long time, and I miss Lisa Loeb. I'm really, really bummed. Because it shows you artists that are going to be near you, and it only shows you artists that you like on Spotify. So it knows exactly what you like, and it's like, oh, you like these people, come see them. Apparently I didn't realize I like Pat Oswalt, but I like comedy, so. So when you say hi first name, or hi last Mr. or Mrs. last name, whatever, it's just, there's no value to me. If almost 2/3 of the spammers in my spam folder are saying hi new, like, I don't care that you know my name. Everybody knows my name. Okay, so we kind of talked about personalization. So I'm going to talk a little bit about segmentation, because I feel like marketers get really excited and they're like, we personalize that, but it's really actually hard to do on a scale without a lot of budget. If you don't have a lot of data, or even if you do have a lot of data, because how can you actually go into production with some of your ideas? Just start with segmentation. So segmentation, for those of you that know, or for those of you that just want to hear me talk more, is breaking your audience, breaking your subscriber list into like groups. And I don't mean like the groups are alike, I mean the people in the groups are alike somehow. I want to share, because I am just like so mean, and I am once again calling out Costco for not segmenting their email. But I also want to share a few other examples of maybe segmentation that isn't great. We saw those, come to Santa Monica email, that's segmentation, also not great. Like, no, so why don't you send that to California people? But Wayfair, if anybody here gets the Wayfair emails, they're just overwhelming. And they sent me one all about benches. and I don't care about bench. I don't know what I would do with a bench. And the whole top of the email is about benches, and it says, it's like they were designed for you and mine. Really? No, I don't care. Why don't you segment your list into people that care about benches, everyone else, and that list will be very small. I'm so mean. I was just in Boston last week, and I think the Wayfair office is in Boston because I saw a big building that said Wayfair, and I was like, you're email. Not really. But I wasn't at an email conference, so it would have been really fun.
Litmus Live?
Yeah, I was at Litmus Live.
Jealous.
Yeah, it was fun. So this email right here, it was very long, so I kind of cut it in half. It is a Cole Haan email, and they just like to show me the men's stuff, because even though I bought at Cole Haan and they have my address, and they also showed me that my closest location is in like King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, or something like that. So I think that might actually be like a data feed go wrong, because that is just like so wrong that it can't possibly be like on purpose. But like, you know that I shop for women's. I have bought from you before women's stuff. Please put me in a women's segment. Thank you. And then once again, children. Are you in the Bay Area? This isn't. Now I'm picking on Nordstrom. Normally, Nordstrom emails are okay. Some of them are better than others. This one is for children, and the recommendation is also for children. So I think that was kind of a mess up on my part, because I had never searched or bought any children's stuff from them, and this is like very specific. And then the one on the right is IKEA, talking about my kids, and that my child was invited to this and that and the other. I'm tired of it. So, don't treat all your subscribers the same. You're wasting their time. You're wasting my time. You're wasting your friend's time. But you may be asking, like, okay, like, where do I even start? Oh my God, this is overwhelming. And I know it can be. So I made you this really overwhelming chart. Yeah, so these are just some ideas that I had. I kind of grouped them together into demographic, engagement, interest, and fit. And I have probably the most experience in B2B, so a lot of this is kind of like what I would do if I were like creating a campaign and needed to create segmentation so that I could really personalize the content. But really just start with demographic. Just start with demographic. Location, age, gender, identity, life stage, income, parental status. If you don't have the information, you can either infer it or you can ask. And by infer it, I mean, like for example, pet type, if like, let's say you work at Chewy and you send an email with, you send like a series of emails and there's cats and dogs and the person just clicks on the cats consistently, you can just infer that they have a cat. But then also they could have both, so let's not forget those crazy people. Engagement. Engagement is some of the engagement data, is the data that you have. You don't have to ask for that. You don't have to figure it out. It's just like recency of purchase, frequency of purchase, amount spent, average amount spent per year, average amount spent per month, life cycle status. So this is a little bit more B2B, but like, where are they in the buying cycle? Are they just getting to know your brand? Are they ready to buy? What kind of thing did they buy it for? For people that do software as a service, and you have a demo or a freebie, are they a demo user already? Level of engagement with your .com presence, your emails, interests, so preferences, content consumed, product of interest, product usage, propensity. Propensity is usually third-party data. That's kind of more advanced stuff, so I don't know if anybody wants to talk about that. We'll talk about it later. But fit, for your product, your company, your service, their job challenge, their job title, where they work, persona, company size, industry. I mean, like, there are just so many things. But what I recommend if you've really never done any segmentation is really just starting at the top, starting with demographic and engagement. I worked at a very large company that had over 1 million subscribers, so I guess it wasn't very large, it was just large. And they only had 3 main segments, that's it. There were a few additional kind of baby segments that we would create campaigns for, but it was 3 main segments. So you don't have to have 1,000 segments to be successful. In fact, I think that there's probably a point of diminishing returns. Okay, so that was a bit much. Start at the top, try a few things, see if your engagement improves. You probably have more data than you think you do. And if you don't have it, ask. So this is just what I would do if I was able, marketing person, location equals near Nashville, Tennessee, send them this email, include else, everyone else, send this email, exclude the other people so they don't get 2 emails. Okay, so why is this important? We talked about this kind of with the Costco email a little bit, like, well, it's working for Costco. So, but maybe it's not working as well as it should be. Or maybe because for Costco, most people buy in the store and not online. I don't know, but segmentation improves your reputation. It improves engagement and it drives revenue. When you drive more qualified traffic to your website, SEO, what's up, it helps brand trust. My friend actually told me this. It helps subscribers feel heard. When you segment and they are getting their emails instead of ones with children or with men stuff or with dog people things or whatever it may be that they don't want to waste their time on, they make them feel heard when you are segmenting to their group. And this is from a research, I don't know, you can click on the link later if you want to see it, but marketers have noted a 760% increase in revenue from segmented campaigns. Okay, this is serious stuff. So segmented campaigns have an open rate that is about 14% higher than non-segmented. This is for MailChimp, but they have a almost 55% higher clicks. Okay, so maybe the opens are a little bit better, but like, oh my God, this email is for me. Yes, I need this right now. Click. I need this dog food or cat food instead of the jacuzzi. You know, I don't want the jacuzzi. I definitely want the food. So it's really important. So kind of my thing about all of this is best practices are a great place to start, but they may not work for your audience. A really good example of this is if you have a very highly technical developer audience, for example, they like a lot of text. They may not like a lot of images, and they may not like a lot of humor. I don't know. It just really depends. Test often, listen, be empathetic. Always ask yourself, what's in it for me? Put yourself in the shoes of your subscribers and the people you're marketing to. And ask yourself, does this add or take away from the email's goal? And remember, we said that most of the time the goal is to get it clear and to not annoy your subscribers. So, okay, thank you. Once again, slides are available here. And I am here to take questions. Thank you for listening. Woo! Don't be shy. Yes.
So you made a great comment that an email is not a landing page, and so I have some clients whose websites are just atrocious, and they have nothing that looks remotely like a landing page, and yet they're trying, and they're, you know, so imagine we're promoting a webinar, this is B2B stuff, but promoting a webinar, they have the most horrible, bland, boring registration page, and we spend a lot of energy and time and money on social media and on email, driving traffic to that page, and we can't, you know, they have somebody else worried about the landing page, and that's sort of outside of our purview.
Okay.
And so what we've just started experimenting with trying to actually make that email look a little bit more like a landing page to cover the elements that are not, the what's in it for me that's not on that landing page.
Yeah.
And we know full well that we're driving people to that page, and they're going to go, ugh.
I mean, really, email is part of a full conversion funnel.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not the only one. Right. I mean, until they figure out how to make you buy stuff for your email, which is possible, it's just really hard to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't work in most email clients. So really, my opinion, this is what I would do if you hired me to do this. I would go, what marketing automation platform or ESP?
In this case, it's MailChimp.
Oh, God, no. Okay, so get off of MailChimp.
Well, yeah,
number
of
one.
course, come up. We're using their tools.
Get a marketing automation platform that can build landing pages. So that's one of the reasons why the Marketos and HubSpots and help me out, what other ones are there? Pardots and Eloqua and all those, you know, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, all of that's more B2C. One of the reasons why they're so successful is because they give a marketer a full suite to kind of help like control that conversion funnel if you don't have access to your .com.
Right.
So you can create landing pages on the fly pretty asterisk, like you might need to have someone code you a nice template using best practices for conversions. I can't even tell you the number of landing pages I've built. I mean, because it's B2B, you do a ton of events and webinars, a ton. And if your emails are driving to a crappy landing page, like there's nothing you can do in the email to improve because the conversion happens on the landing page. You really need to work on that landing page. I'd be surprised to see what your drop-off is, like how many people open the email, how many people click, and then how many people actually go through the process and register.
It's not a very good ratio.
Yeah.
We know that,
Yeah. I think she had a question, I'll get right to you.
Yeah, can you build landing pages without any coding?
Yeah, there are a few builders that are just drag and drop. I think
Tons of them.
Yeah, there's tons of them. You just search landing page builder. Webflow is a full website drag and drop editor that you can use to build custom stuff.
Email suite.
No, these are web only.
Is
Emails.
there any platforms that you can build a landing page in? An email platform?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can even do it with MailChimp, actually.
Yeah, MailChimp now is rolling out like more things, so landing page. I would say most of them probably do, but you, before signing any contract or giving anyone your money, I would just make sure that they have a landing page builder. But I would say any ESP or MAP, email service provider marketing automation platform that is more B2B focused is gonna have a landing page builder. Yeah. Some of them really, like for example, that Eloqua one, Eloqua is an enterprise ESP, I guess, MAP, that I have the most experience with. You really need to have a developer to code you some landing pages. It just, their builder is just not good.
Well, the challenge is like with a lot of registrations, you're trying to get, say that it's a webinar, for example, and it's hosted on WebEx or one of those types of tools. You gotta get these two systems connected
Yeah.
so that registration goes in the web.
So usually, in my experience, I'm a huge MarTech nerd, so I used to run all the marketing systems for a few of the companies I worked at. Usually you have your data probably piping into Salesforce and then piping out. So it depends on how you have your setup, but for example, if you're a larger company and you have Salesforce, you'll have your WebEx data piping into Salesforce and then piping out into your marketing automation platform. Some companies will directly integrate like WebEx or GoToWebinar with their marketing automation tool, but usually it goes into Salesforce. Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right. They have to talk. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, the whole point of having all these tools is that you can automate the data. Yes, sir.
What is considered a healthy open rate or click-through rate? What would be considered a healthy?
Unfortunately, that is kind of a loaded question. It really depends on your vertical, the kind of company you are, and like the health of your subscribers. For me, when I'm looking at my B2B emails, I just have that magic number of 20%. I'm trying to get a 20% open, but unique open rate, unique, because total open rate is kind of a joke. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say, oh, thank you.
Yep.
Don't do this. If I didn't say that open rate is kind of a problematic metric, it's a vanity metric. You should really be looking at other metrics.
But it does give you deliverability and the quality of your subject line.
No, it doesn't. It does not give you deliverability. It does not. Deliverability.
You can't open it if you didn't get it in your inbox.
Delivery rate.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
But it does wrap that in, so it does kind of.
I mean, yes and no, and the reason why I'm being a little argumentative here is because Your subscriber's email client needs to fire images for an open to be counted. And like I said earlier, we're looking at upwards of 30% that don't have images turned on. So you might either be missing a large group of people that are opening and it's not firing in your ESP, or the opposite of that. We have a lot of bots and spam checkers that open emails. They show up as opens, they're not actually being opened by a person. So as a bunch of geeks, as a geek myself, I look at open rate, unique open rate. I keep an eye on it, but I don't focus on it that much because I know that that number could be like extremely skewed. Yes?
Are there any key things you think about with email marketing campaigns that are vastly different from, like, the examples you gave, a lot of them are retail, B2C, but that are vastly different if you're emailing a B2B customer or
I think the biggest difference, and you're gonna say, well, duh, is the fact that with retail you can transact right away. With B2B, most of the time you're not. So it's like a long kind of relationship. We have a long courting process. But that being said, all of what I talked about today absolutely can be used for B2B, and I am a B2B expert. I feel like I've been out of B2C for long enough now that I don't know if I could call myself an expert in B2C anymore. So when you see, and we all laugh, those of us that work in B2B, we're always like, the emails are so bad. They don't have to be. They don't have to be. You don't have to have a pretty shoe or like a nice looking sports jersey or whatever to like have a cool email. Like you can do it all with text. You can. In color, really. Just use your content hierarchy. Really focus on the copy. I think with B2B you have to focus on the copy more because you're making, well,
it's not an emotional decision.
Yeah, it's not an emotional decision. You're basically like, hey, what's your name?
Dave.
Dave. Yep, I don't know. Your company is losing money. Let me tell you how my company can help you with it. It's like this very slow kind of like way of explaining to somebody that you can help solve their problems with your product. But it's also an understanding that you may not be the person that kind of pulls the strings. You may be part of a group of decision makers, So yeah, I know a lot of the examples I showed were retail. That's because, I don't know, I guess the B2B emails I get are, I did show that one Series Decisions one, but I did, and the really, really long one, that's a B2B email. The one, did you see that one where I was like scrolling for 10 minutes? Yeah. We could do them a lot better.
And that was a marketing automation company too, it's Engagio, right? They're ABM.
Yeah, Engagio. Yes, they are absolutely an ABM company, which is why I like their content, but their emails drive me crazy.
That's what jumped out at me, is like, these guys are marketing people.
Right, but that's the thing, is like, just because you're a marketing person does not mean you're an email person.
Right.
Yes. Question for you. You had one of your slides that you demonize the hello, my name is.
Yes.
Or hello, your name is. As a B2B, in a B2B space, what suggestions would you give in saying hello, but not saying hello, your name is?
I'm not saying don't say hello, my name is.
Okay.
But the problem that we have, especially as B2B marketers, I said it, okay, done, bye. That's not enough. It's not enough. One thing that was really hard to do, but I kind of wanted to do, but I was never able to actually get it done, was like a content recommendation engine. In the same way that you get like, oh, you browsed this shirt, you might like this shirt. Oh, you read a webinar on like DevOps, you might be interested in this event that's in your locale that's also on DevOps or something like that. It's just a lot harder to do. It's a lot harder to do, and unfortunately, because of some technical limitations, I think it's going to take us B2B people a little bit longer to figure that out. But yeah, it's not impossible. I think
It's like all my contacts are tied to the same old email.
Yeah.
Hello, hello Bob,
Yeah.
I see you're a financial advisor, I've got some to help your team. How many emails are they getting like that, that just clogs their inbox?
That's-
You can't stand out.
I know. And that's why, like,
I'm
Have
throwing
you
myself
started
on
thinking
you.
about, well, we just started experimenting with using the company name
Okay.
in the same place, like, hey, Acme,
Okay.
financial advisors could, we think Acme financial advisors might benefit, or hi Bob, we've got something for Acme Finance. Just one extra little tool, and it's starting to, it's starting to show some results.
I think everyone's so tired of that.
I mean, you can do that, but then kind of my argument was like, does
Yours
that
is
bring,
about content more
does
than.
that bring value? Yeah, you want your content to really bring value. You want the person reading it to go, oh yeah, I need this because
Yeah.
it's gonna save me time and money. And that's a really hard argument. It's really hard.
Everyone saves you time and when everyone's fast.
Right.
So-
It's difficult, but I think the problem is like as marketers we like get into our own head and we forget that like we either have really cool products or really cool services, and we forget how to talk about them with other people.
The other thing I think that's important is if you're delivering content, it's not a sales pitch, right? If
Yeah.
you're delivering useful tool or useful information, then that
Exactly.
engagement can be higher.
And
That's
it-
something I believe in big time.
Absolutely, and when you're looking at top of the funnel people too, people that maybe are like, who are you? Or we're just getting to know each other.
Exactly.
We're just like, we're not even dating yet. We're
Yeah,
just
don't ask me out yet. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
I mean, you just want to deliver content and,
Yeah.
and help them understand who you are.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yes.
We've got one more question in the back, and then we'll switch to while we're packing up, doing one-on-one questions.
So a quick question is, do you expect any significant changes for email marketing in the oncoming California Consumer Privacy Act?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we're just all confused because I don't know if you've read it. It's like very, very low on specifics.
Yeah.
It was passed very quickly, rushed. I don't really know at this time.
Just take the Uber
How does it
answer,
compare to
send email.
GDPR? I mean,
Yeah,
is it
because
close to
GDPR
GDPR?
It's not because
It's not.
GDPR was actually really specific in ways.
Very.
And it gave us like extreme directives, like you cannot do this, you have to do this, and we were like, okay, check. So
Yeah, you're at the opt-in level at GDPR. I mean,
Yeah.
that's now the other extreme where you can't
Right.
even.
honestly, like I think we're gonna move toward where everybody pretty much just has to abide by GDPR.
That's
because
what I was thinking.
That's like the
I think
gold
that's where
standard.
it's going.
Yeah, and it's just easier to do the most difficult thing, and have that like across your entire organization than it is to try, okay, well, in California, we're gonna do this, everywhere else, I gotta figure out how to get it to stop doing that. But yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Quick show of hands, so nobody shows up to the line. Is anybody going down to Wookiees to grab a drink and hang out and chat?
If y'all want me to answer more questions, I would be happy to meet you there.
All right, so we do have at least a small group, half a dozen or so people going down there. So that's Wookiees just down the road, down there.